may be filled may be filled.
Yataram,
Yataram,
the stomach.
the stomach.
Tavat,
Tavat,
that much.
that much.
Svatvam,
Svatvam,
proprietorship.
proprietorship.
He, indeed.
Indeed.
Dehinam,
Dehinam,
of the living entities.
of the living entities.
Adikam,
Adikam,
more than that.
more than that. Yeah.
Anyone who.
Anyone who.
Abhimanyeta,
Abhimanyeta,
may accept.
may accept.
Sa,
He,
Stena,
Stena,
the thief.
the thief.
Dandam,
Dandam,
punishment.
punishment.
Arhati,
Arhati,
deserves.
deserves.
Translation. One may claim proprietorship to as much wealth as required to maintain body and soul together, but one who desires proprietorship over more than that must be considered a thief, and he deserves to be punished by the laws of nature. Please repeat. One may claim proprietorship.
One may claim proprietorship
To as much wealth as required.
to as much wealth as required.
To maintain body and soul together.
To maintain body and soul together.
But one who desires proprietorship.
But one who desires proprietorship
Over more than that.
over more than that
Must be considered a thief.
must be considered a thief.
And he deserves to be punished.
And he deserves to be punished
By the laws of nature.
by the laws of nature.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. By God's favor, we sometimes get large quantities of food grains or suddenly receive some contribution or unexpected profit in business. In this way, we may get more money than needed. So how should that be spent? There is no need to accumulate money in the bank, merely to increase one's bank balance. Such a mentality is described in Bhagavad Gita 16:13 as asuric, demoniac. Idam adya maya labdam, imam prapsye manovritam, idam ashtidam apime, bhavishyati punadanam. The demoniac person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. The asura is concerned with how much wealth he has in the bank today, and how it will increase tomorrow. But unrestricted accumulation of wealth is not permitted either by the Shastra or in the modern age by the government. Actually, if one has more than one requires for his necessities, the extra money should be spent for Krishna. According to the Vedic civilization, it should all be given to the Krishna consciousness movement as ordered by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 9:27. Yat karosi yat asnasi yat jahoshi tadasi yat Yat tapasyasi kuntaya tat gurishvamarapanam. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering to me. Grihastas should spend extra money only for the Krishna consciousness movement. The Grihastas should give contributions for constructing temples of the Supreme Lord and for preaching of Srimad Bhagavad Gita or Krishna consciousness all over the world. Shrinvan Bhagavato Bhikshnam Avatara Katamritam. In the Shastras, the Puranas, and other Vedic literatures, there are so many narrations describing the transcendental activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and everyone should hear them again and again. For example, even if we read the entire Bhagavad Gita every day, all 18 chapters, in each reading we will find a new explanation. That is the nature of transcendental literature. The Krishna consciousness movement therefore affords one an opportunity to spend his extra earnings for the benefit of all human society by expanding Krishna consciousness. In India especially, we see hundreds and thousands of temples that were constructed by the wealthy men of society who did not want to be called thieves and be punished. This verse is very important. As stated here, one who accumulates more money than needed is a thief, and by the laws of nature he will be punished. One who acquires more money than necessary becomes desirous of enjoying material comforts more and more. Materialists are inventing so many artificial necessities, and those who have money, being allured by such artificial necessities, try to accumulate money to possess more and more. This is the idea of modern economic development. Everyone is engaged in earning money, and the money is kept in the bank, which then offers money to the public. If in this cycle of activities, everyone is engaged in getting more and more money, and therefore the ideal goal of human life is being lost. Concisely, it may be said that everyone is a thief and is liable to be punished. Punishment by the laws of nature takes place in the cycle of birth and death. No one dies fully satisfied by the fulfillment of material desires, for that is not possible. Therefore, at the time of one's death, one is very sorry being unable to fulfill his desires. By the laws of nature, one is then offered another body to fulfill his unsatisfied desires. And upon taking birth again, accepting another material body, one voluntarily accepts the threefold miseries of life. Om Yana Tamramasya Gyanam Shlakaya Chakshurumritamya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So this is really what spiritual. What's that? That's that. I know what it is. Okay, so this is important. What is this? Anyway, everyone gets a certain amount of wealth, and one should be satisfied with what is given by one's karma, by providence. And this is a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's in the 5th canto, verse number 3, chapter 5:3. Yeva Mayeshe Krita Sarajata, Janeshidaham Vatikeshu, Jayatmashavatasan Vatikeshu, Napriti Yutvayavat Ataloke. This means that those who are interested in reviving their Krishna consciousness do not like to, they're not attached to material things, and they do not endeavor to earn more money than necessary. Even if they are grihastas, they're not attached to their homes, and dare I say it, their families. That's the verse. So this is quite controversial, you could say. But anyway, it's in the Srimad Bhagavatam. We should obviously be very responsible for our families, but at the same time, if we become over-attached, then we'll lament. So there are many verses, or there's many instructions. There's one verse I'm trying to think of. Material gain, anyone know this? The Sanskrit. Material gain is never meant for sense gratification. Dharmasya pavagasya natoritakopte natasya dhanakantasya kamalabhahi smitaha. Thank you. So material gain is never meant for sense gratification. Actually, material gain is meant for giving to Krishna. So one should lead a simple life and be satisfied with what comes naturally. This is actually described in the 8th canto, where Vamanadev goes to beg charity from Bali Maharaj. So in that pastime, Vamanadev goes to Bali Maharaj as a dwarf Brahmin, and he asks for 2 pieces of land. And so Bali Maharaj, he thinks he's foolish because he's only asking for so little. So basically, he says, why are you asking for so little? You'll come back to me and ask for more later on, and just take more. And so, anyway, Vamanadev tells him, no, I'll be satisfied with that, because even if one possesses the whole world, if he's not satisfied, he'll still not be satisfied if he's not satisfied within. So then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about how one of the goals of the Krishna consciousness movement is that we're trying to show people how to be satisfied, living simply off the land. That Prabhupada said, especially in America, we have established so many farms where hardly anyone lives, but anyway, people don't want to live in the farm nowadays, they want to live in the city. But anyway, you have a nice community here, so it's nice. But he's established so many farm communities to show people how to be satisfied, living simply close to nature. So this is actually the best way to live, that nature provides the greatest opulences. One's mind, of course, unfortunately nowadays, they found that more people that live in the country commit suicide than people live in the city. Strange fact. That's in America. But that's because there's no community, and they all take, drugs, become drug addicts. But if there's nice communities, then back in the day, of course, we had so many. In India, the villages, they had so much support, so many family were there to help bring up the children, and everyone had a very close, intimate relationship, and the villages, they had the ideal life. Now, in the cities, the mind is very dragged down, because basically in the cities, as you know, there's advertisements everywhere, buy this, buy that, there's pollution everywhere, everywhere you go, there's fumes of motor cars, everywhere there's shops with all the latest fashions trying to goad you into spending your money, which you have to work hard for, like an ass. So, and in the country, there's beautiful nature. There's beautiful trees. All the trees are completely, so many beautiful leaves, and even in just a wild forest, there's so many nice flowers, and all the leaves have beautiful designs, and all the bark has beautiful designs. But instead of that, we've got to, watch Sotheby's selling Andy Warhol's paintings for $50 million, and that's considered the highest art. But actually, nature is already the most beautiful. God is, like Prabhupada said, they should give Krishna the Nobel Prize, because he's the best designer. And he's designed human beings to actually live simply off the land. But the trouble is, we've been indoctrinated into this kind of conception that, we have to make a lot of money, we have to be comfortable, have a big bank balance, etc. So Prabhupada wanted to establish the Varnashram. Varnashram, there's a purport there for that verse about Bali Maharaj saying he didn't want more. He says in the purport, to teach this culture, Varnashram is needed. The aim of Varnashram is to train one to control the senses and be satisfied with the bare essentials. Therefore, the Hare Krishna movement is trying to establish many farms, etc. So, that is ideal. And so, the preaching, in other words, if we really want to walk the talk, we have to show people cow protection. We have to show people that we don't support kami dairies. We have to try to ensure that, future generations will get milk from protected cows. Because it's very sad in a way that not many children in ISKCON get milk from protected cows. I mean, milk is the most important food, and Prabhupada said, it's essential for good health. So, if we want healthy, future generations of ISKCON, then we have to. So therefore, everybody has to feel responsible for bringing this culture, you know, whether it means money, buying cows, or building barns. You need money. So, but we should give it to the right place. That's the point. So there's so many ISKCON projects that need money. Building the temple in Mayapur, of course, priority. But, you know, we have so many priorities, and they're all very important. But as individuals, you know, the class was supposed to be about generosity. So I'll talk about that a little bit too. So basically, generosity is also, you know, making sacrifices to show people the ideal way of life. That's generosity. And generosity, of course, is sacrificing everything. Like Srila Prabhupada, generosity. We see in the scriptures the story of Rantidev. Rantidev was an exalted devotee of the Lord, and Rantidev, he was very compassionate, and he was very, very charitable. And so, even he suffered himself for the sake of being generous and helping others. So the story is there, how one time he was fasting for 45 days, and then he was about to break his fast, and some food was given to him, and he was about to eat, and then a Brahmin came along who was hungry. So Rantidev divided the food in half, he fed the Brahmin, and then he was about to eat, and then a Sudra came along, I think it was a Sudra, and he gave him half, and then he was about to eat, and then a man came along with some dogs, and he gave that away, and then a Malecha came along. Oh, there was only water left at that point. So he gave it away the water, and so he didn't have anything. And then he said that by giving away all this food, actually, I feel completely satisfied. That all the trembling in my body has stopped, and my goal is to suffer all the karma, or to suffer on behalf of all living entities. That was his prayer. It was hard to imitate. We're not, you know, we can't necessarily be like that, but that's an example in the scriptures that's ideal. Of course, all the great devotees, they give up everything for spreading Krishna consciousness. Like Prabhupada said, he walked through fire. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said he wanted his followers to shed 400 gallons of blood to spread Krishna consciousness. But at least we can start by starting, because if we don't give, everything will be taken away. That story is also there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto. Lord Krishna is instructing Uddhava. And so, in that story, this pastime or this history is given of this Avanti Brahmin. So I'm just going to read a little bit. My dear Uddhava, in this regard, a most pious story is told, and I shall now describe it to you. Please listen with careful attention. Once a certain sannyasi was insulted in many ways by impious men. However, with determination, he remembered that he was suffering the fruit of his own previous karma. I will narrate to you his story and that which he spoke. In the country of Avanti, there once lived a certain Brahmin who was very rich and gifted with all opulences, and who was engaged in the occupation of commerce, but he was a miserly man, lusty, greedy, and very prone to anger. In his home, devoid of religiosity and lawful sense gratification, the family members and guests were never properly respected. Even with words, He would not even allow sufficient gratification for his own body at the suitable times. Since he was so hard-hearted and miserly, his sons, in-laws, wife and daughters and servants began to feel inimical towards him. Becoming disgusted, they would never treat him with affection. In this way, the presiding deities of the 5 family sacrifices became angry at the Brahmin who, being niggardly, guarded his wealth like a yaksha, who had no good destination either in this world or the next, and was totally deprived of religiosity and sense enjoyment. O magnanimous Uddhava, by his neglect of these demigods, he depleted his stock of piety and all his wealth. The accumulation of his repeated and exhaustive endeavors was totally lost. Anyway, having lost all his wealth, he felt great pain and lamentation. His throat choked up with tears, and he meditated for a long time on his fortune. Then a powerful feeling of renunciation came over him. The Brahmin spoke as follows: "Oh, what great misfortune! I have simply tormented myself uselessly, struggling so hard for money that was not even intended for religiosity or material enjoyment. Generally, the wealth of misers never allows them any happiness. In this life, it causes their self-torment, and when they die, it sends them to hell. Whatever pure fame is possessed by the famous, and whatever praiseworthy qualities are found in the virtuous, are destroyed by even a small amount of greed, just as one's attractive physical beauty is ruined by a trace of white leprosy." So anyway, so we have to be generous. Of course, the greatest charity is to distribute Krishna consciousness, and so that's what the Krishna consciousness movement is all about. It's said that if you give somebody a Bhagavatam or a Bhagavad Gita, that you get so much benefit for that. So we're trying to give Krishna consciousness to people, and we're trying to be charitable to everybody in every way. One time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he chastised his disciples because they didn't give in charity to some people who were materially impoverished. That they just ignored them. And then he said that if you don't give in charity, then you'll become hard-hearted and you won't want to donate generals to the deities. So we have to be compassionate to everybody. Shivananda Sen, he was very compassionate even to a dog. There was a dog, and the dog became attached to the devotees and was following the devotees around in Lord Chaitanya's party. And Shivananda Sen felt compassion for the dog, so he would pay for the dog to cross over the Ganga and pay for it to go through the toll, and he would feed the dog. And then one day, of course, the dog disappeared, and he was very upset. And then later on, the devotees saw the dog with Lord Chaitanya, and the dog was actually being fed by Lord Chaitanya, being fed coconut pulp. And then the dog disappeared, and the dog had actually gone back to Godhead. So we should be charitable to everybody. But Shivananda Sen was told to take care of Vasudeva Dutt, because Vasudeva Dutt, who was an incarnation of Prahlad Maharaj, he was very, very charitable, and he would give everything away. So Lord Chaitanya said, you shouldn't give everything away,